Hello, I'm Diana Belchase, and I'm so excited because I'm here with Don and Renee Bain, who are Murder, She Wrote, which a while ago was Murder, He Wrote, and then became Murder, They Wrote. So I would like to talk to them and find out a little bit more about this wonderful series of books that they write that then became the TV series, or was it the other way around?
It was the other way around. Generally, that's the way it works, where the series will follow the books. But in this case, the series was on the air long before the book started. And Universal sold the rights to a publisher to do a series of books using Jessica Fletcher. And they called me in to do it, and that was 20-something years ago, 40 books ago.
40 books, yeah. But I hear you have a new goal. What's the number?
Well, we'd like to see it go up to 50. Right now we have a new contract for 3 more, and we figure 50 is a round number, and we'll see then if we want to do any more from there.
Oh, well, it's a great series, and they're beautifully written, but everything you've written,
well,
even your ghost books that we'll talk about in just a little bit, are beautifully written. What I'm interested in, this was originally you writing the series by yourself, correct?
Yes.
And then you came on board about, what, 12 years ago?
What happened was Don started writing the series when it was still on the air, when the TV show was not in syndication, but was actually, the new programs were still coming out, excuse me. He started writing them, and then he wrote 12 books, and at 12 books I started coming in and editing a little bit and adding my own 2 cents, and little by little I wormed my way into doing some more.
How much fun. So tell me, how does the process work between you? I mean, do you sit down and think of the plot together? Do you alternate chapters? What's your technique?
It varies, but we do sit down. We each have our own office, and we have a conference room in the middle. And we sit down there many, many days and plot it out. Although we're not really, we don't really get that detailed. Some writers really do 30 or 40 pages. We do finally a couple of pages of outline. And then it depends on who's doing what. I might write a chapter, Renee will edit, or vice versa. If I'm busy working on another series, which I've been doing for years, Renee, the last book, really, Renee wrote the book, basically. And,
up until the end.
I provided the ending, yeah, I provided the ending.
Oh,
but it's seamless, it really works so well.
Yes. I think what helps it is that the books are written in the first person from the point of view of Jessica Fletcher. So both of us are hearing Angela Lansbury's voice in our ears while we're typing. And the favorite compliment we can get is people will say, oh, it feels like we're back on Sunday night watching Murder, She Wrote. So
oh, that's a
good.
wonderful compliment.
Yeah.
Do you find it helpful or limiting to have the character already established for you?
Both.
Both. It's a two-edged sword. On the one hand, it's a great character. You know, it was created by the TV writers and the producers and directors, nurtured, of course, by the wonderful Angela Lansbury, which is great, having that to work with. However, there are restrictions, because that character is a brand for Universal.
Yes.
And they are very, very picky about what we are allowed to do.
Right. So Universal will take a look at your entire plot and vet it?
They vet the plot, and then they vet the manuscript, and they're very much on it.
And that's not even to mention the fans, because Murder, She Wrote was so beloved of all the TV fans, and they read the books with that in mind, and they let us know if there's something they don't think is right
Do
there.
they ever? Yeah.
Well, you can't do any wrong in my eyes. I think you do a marvelous job.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
But now, this was not your first book series. I know that you were a very famous ghostwriter, and that you got outed on national TV with a very special book in the 60s. Tell everybody what that was about.
Well, yeah, you're basically talking to the world's tallest, oldest, bearded stewardess. I wrote a book called Coffee, Tea, or Me back in the 60s, which became an incredible success. 5 million copies sold worldwide. Became a movie, terrible movie, but it became a movie. And and so that was my annuity for 17 years. And then Penguin, a couple of years ago, brought it back out as a comedy classic. And,
so there's a whole new generation hiding under the sheets reading Coffee, Tea, or Me.
But hadn't they hired some stewardesses to pretend that it was really their story?
Yes, there were 2 Eastern Airlines stewardesses, and they brought them on board. I actually met them very early in the process. And they toured the country. They were on every television show, and their newspaper interviews, and they were terrific.
One of them even changed her name,
Yes.
so she could be the same as the byline on the book.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
she changed it to Rachel Jones, which was a name I made up, and so she became Rachel Jones. Yeah.
And so you were outed in a talk show, weren't you? How were you outed as being the writer of it?
It's interesting. I never was outed for a long time. The book is dedicated to me.
Oh, that's smart.
As are many others.
And I did another 6 or 7 in the same vein about nurses, about teachers, and they're all dedicated to me.
Oh, I love
And I kept waiting for somebody to say, who's this guy Bain with all these beautiful young women, dedicating their books to him? No, when I finally was outed, there was a television show, yeah. I'm also a jazz musician, and I was doing a thing in New York City, and they wanted NBC wanted to do something with it. So I called the publisher, and I said, 25 years later, is it okay? And they said, sure.
No, it was about time. And what a fun chapter in your life.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
It was considered a very racy book in its day,
Oh, boy,
and it's
was it.
so mild by today's standards, nobody would even think twice about it.
It was really considered the sex-capades of
Yes, it
the
was.
stewardesses.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
And now I think high school students have steamier love lives.
Oh, absolutely.
So.
Sure they do. Sure.
But there were a lot of mothers who did not want their daughters to become stewardesses
Because of the
after
book.
that book
Yes.
came out.
Because of the book, yeah.
I can see that, absolutely. Now, you said you're working on another series. What is that about?
Well, for many, many, many years, I was a very close friend of Margaret Truman. And Margaret, of course, did a whole series of novels set in Washington.
Yes.
And I worked with her on all of those books, every one of them. Right. And then she died a couple of years ago, and a new publisher wanted to continue with her books. So I've been writing now on the 4th book after her death, and my name is now appearing on it.
Wow.
Finally,
Finally.
I've been outed, finally on that series, and I'm delighted with that.
Well, when you really decide to retire, your last book should be The Man Who Was a Ghost.
Well, yes, I may do that. We'll come back and do this again about it. We'll talk about it, right?
Sounds great.
From another world.
From another world, yeah.
Thank you so much for sitting down with me. I appreciate it so much.
Oh, it was
And
our
the-
pleasure.
And the wonderful advice you've given me in the past. You may not know, but Don is very generous to upcoming writers. He really has been a very good mentor to a lot of people. And I appreciate that so much, and I appreciate you being here. So, again, I'm here with Don and Renee Bain. I am Diana Belchase, and keep reading.
Yes.
Yes.